Now we are going to start with the topic that is the water. As you know that water is very important for the survival of life. So today we are going to study the physical properties, chemical properties, the types of water and the basic structure of water also. So what we'll do is we'll start with the basic structure of water including the formula, right? So see, water is the chemical formula for the water is H2O. Right, that means one oxygen and two hydrogens. And if we talk about its geometry, it is sp3 hybridized. It is sp3 hybridized. As you know that for sp3 hybridization, the shape is tetrahedral. The shape is tetrahedral. But whenever the lone pairs are present, it makes the geometry distorted because there are a new kind of repulsions that exist, that is between lone pair and lone pair bond pair. So when we look for the structure of water, it comes out to be like this, right? As you can see, there is one oxygen, two hydrogen held by a covalent bond, and also you can see that two bond pairs here are replaced by the lone pairs. So there is a repulsion between in this molecule bond pair also, and there is a repulsion between bond pair lone pair also, and there is a repulsion between lone pair also. So this makes the geometry distorted, and as we know that for a distorted geometry we have a specialized name. So here the specialized name is angular or bent geometry, right? So water, the geometry of the water is being given a special name that it is angular or bent. So now we talk about the hydrogen bonding in the water and ice. As you all know that there exists a special type of bond, that is the hydrogen bonding is seen in water and ice. So what we have done, what we are going to study here is that we know that the water is a liquid state of H2O. Water is a liquid state of H2O, and we see that in liquid state the water molecules are held together by a hydrogen bonds. That means different H2O, they are just linked together because they have a hydrogen bonding between them. So we can say that the molecules actually occur in an associated manner. They aggregate towards each other. That means they occur as an associated molecules. Due to this associated molecules, obviously there will be a strong bonding, right? And when there will be strong bonding, so obviously the density is going to be high. But when when we know that when water freezes, it changes into ice. So that means at low temperature, the form of water that is below zero, it is the ice. Now if you look for the structure of ice, it actually has a crystalline structure. So we can actually have 9 types of crystalline forms of ice depending upon the conditions. But at atmospheric pressure, the structure of ice is a hexagonal type. It is a hexagonal type. Now what is the hexagonal structure here? In this, one oxygen atom is tetrahedrally surrounded by 4 hydrogens. One oxygen is tetrahedrally surrounded by 4 hydrogens, out of which 2 hydrogens are held by covalent bonding and 2 hydrogens are held by hydrogen bonding. Right, 2 hydrogens by covalent and 2 hydrogens by covalent bonding. And if we talk about the bond length, then the bond length in hydrogen bonding is around 177 picometer, and in the covalent bonding it is 95.7 picometer. So as you can see that the bond length of hydrogen bond is much more. So that means there exists a great distance, and due to this longer bond length, actually you can say that the molecules are not tightly packed. There are certain spaces within the molecule. There are certain spaces within the molecule. So we can say actually that in an hexagonal form, ice has a open cage like structure, like I have shown you in the figure. See here, one oxygen is surrounded by 4 hydrogens, 2 this linked by covalent bond, and 2 dotted bonds are just indicating the hydrogen bonds. So like this, there exist lot of vacant spaces because it is a 3-dimensional structure. So you will get to see many vacant spaces, and due to these vacant spaces actually, so volume is somehow more and density is less. Density is less. Now what happens when the ice starts melting? When the ice starts melting, then what happens? Some of the hydrogen bonds break up. Some of the hydrogen bonds break up and water molecules start filling these spaces. These vacant spaces are filled by the water molecule. So as number of vacant spaces are decreasing because water molecules on melting the bonds are broken and the water molecules are occupying those vacant spaces. So due to this, what we see is volume decrease and density increase. Volume decrease and density increase. And we have seen that at around 273 Kelvin, what we see is that the spaces are so filled that we can actually conclude that ice has very low density as compared to water. Or you can say water is more denser than ice. And if you keep on increasing the temperature, like you make the temperature from 273 to 274, 274 to 275, what you will see that more and more hydrogen bonds break and more vacant spaces are filled by the hydrogen molecules, due to which the density is constantly increasing. But at 277 Kelvin, water actually has a maximum density. Water actually has a maximum density, and above 277 it will actually get reversed. That means the density will decrease. So you can say that we conclude that at 277 Kelvin the water has a very high density, and this is the reason that ice actually floats on water. Ice actually floats over water. So if somebody is going to question you that ice seems to be heavier than water but it doesn't sink, it can actually float on water. So you are going to say that first you will be explaining the structure, that it has a normal hexagonal form at atmospheric pressure. That is this kind of structure. Due to vacant spaces it has, or you can say due to longer bond length due to hydrogen bonding. So therefore the molecules are not closely packed. The vacant spaces are there which are just making the ice less denser. And then you can actually explain that when ice melts and it forms water, then why ice we can see that ice keeps on floating on water. That is because it is just filling the spaces, making the water more denser, and the density is maximum at 277. So therefore the ice can be seen floating on the water. And you know that it is actually of great advantage. This thing is actually of great advantage because aquatic animals can actually survive due to this what we observe in the ice and water. You can say the difference in their densities. Like whenever there is a winter season, whenever there is a chill around, then what happens? The upper water layer actually freezes to form ice. But the lower water layers, they don't freeze and they remain in a liquid form, that is in a water form, and the aquatic animals can actually survive there. Otherwise, if the whole water body will freeze, then how the aquatic animals will survive, right? So this is the reason that ice actually keeps on floating on water, and in the lower layers we have only the liquid state, that is the water, and the aquatic animals can actually survive better in that, and they can actually, you can say, bear that winter conditions which are outside. So this is what I think you got it, that what is a water and what is a basic structure, and what kind of bonds are there in the liquid state, and what type of bonding is seen in ice, and when the ice melts what happened, and how can you compare the density of the water and the ice, and all above you know that why ice can float on water and how the aquatic animals are benefited due to this. So with this we finished with the ice and water. Now we'll start with the physical and chemical properties of water, and we'll also do the types of water.